I just love that, Ariane. Your take on the modern CPA.
I'm not gonna even lie. Some days I shed a tear like today was hard, which sounds weird to people, but she was. She was like, let's do debits and credits. And I was like, okay, I don't know what that is, but let's do it. So
And how your LA roots shaped your mindset.
I feel better when I work out in the morning. It's a different type of experience.
Because shows that, where we grow up shapes our risk tolerance in business. And a fast paced city like LA can really train you to think on your feet.
One of the quotes that I like is whatever you don't use, you lose. Whatever you don't employ, you forfeit.
And you have been blending fashion, art with finance. So, how does that work for you?
I'm all about a good vibe, even if we're working hard. I want a good vibe. Let's do great things together and feel good about it.
As a consultant and strategist, like what businesses actually need from CPAs today? What are they looking for? What are the expectations?
And so when I'm dealing with someone who's in their feelings, I'm like, let's take a step back. Let's look at the data. Let's look at the facts and let's make good decisions. It causes a peace within me where nothing to me is a big deal. Like nothing is like insane where I'm going to stress out because I've given birth. So to me, I'm like, all of this is not anything to stress over.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Legendary Podcast. I'm your host, BK, bringing you insightful conversations with the sharpest minds in the industry. Our guest for today is Ariane Washington. She's a certified public accountant and the founder and CEO of Ready Consulting, a dynamic financial consulting firm that empowers service based startups with clarity, strategy, and hands on CFO support. With over 15 years of experience across public and private companies, Ariane has led initiatives in fundraising, mergers and acquisitions, tax strategy, technical accounting, and financial operations, helping businesses scale with confidence. Now, her career is anything but conventional. Before launching her firm, Ariane owned a successful fitness business for 8 years, blending entrepreneurship with her passion for wellness. She has managed remote teams globally, worked with tech startups that went public, and continued to help founders make smart financial decisions. Ariane was recently chosen as one of just 36 CPAs for the prestigious AICPA Leadership Academy, where she deepened her skills in emotional intelligence, future focused leadership, and strategic impact. More than just a numbers expert, Ariane is a sought after speaker, mentor, and champion for diversity in accounting. A bold style, authentic voice, and strategic mind are redefining what it means to be a modern CPA, proving you can be sharp, soulful, and successful all at once. So, Ariane, welcome and thank you so much for joining our podcast today.
Thank you for having me. That was a wonderful intro. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So, let's just jump in right away. Let's talk about, you know, your early days, passion, and unlikely beginnings, your bringing, and how your LA roots shaped your mindset.
Yeah, so I went to school for undergrad and grad school in accounting, and I actually fell in love with accounting in high school. It was an elective class. So that's where it kind of started with me piquing my interest in accounting. I was good at it and I was having fun. I think the root of it was my teacher at the time. Her name was Mrs. Mahar, and she was just excited about accounting, which sounds weird to people, but she was. She was like, let's do debits and credits. And I was like, okay, I don't know what that is, but let's do it. So that's actually how I got started in it. And I went all the way. So undergrad, grad school. And then after grad school, I moved to LA for a little new setting, some sunshine, some beaches, new adventure. And from there, that's where I got my CPA license. So that's how it all got started with LA and also for accounting in general.
Awesome. Again, it's interesting because research shows that, where we grow up shapes our risk tolerance in business. And a fast-paced city like LA can really train you to think on your feet.
Yes. Yes, it can. I worked at a firm where I had 12 companies that were my responsibility, and then I managed a team
Mhm.
of 5 people internally. And every day there was something either amazing or really just hugely surprising in a challenging way. And so LA was like boots on the ground, boot camp, sink or swim. And so I'm grateful for that experience. It definitely was like an initiation because it was a struggle. Some days I'm not gonna even lie. Some days I shed a tear. Like today was hard, but it 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 was in I was much younger back then, but it was something that really changed the way I looked at business and my ability to just pivot and shift at any moment and be successful in the end. So it definitely changed and created a solid foundation for me to be strong in any setting. So I'm really grateful for that.
Awesome. Now, there is another side of your story. You have transitioned from a fitness entrepreneur to accounting. Like, let's talk about that journey.
Yeah, let's talk about it. So I have always been into living a healthy, active lifestyle. My mother has always been into working out and all of that wonderfulness. When I went to college, I started to go to the gym just on my own. And I went to a fitness class, a group fitness class, and it was like a hip hop workout class. And I truly, truly enjoyed it. And one day the instructor was like, "You should be an instructor because you're doing really good in this class." And so I said, okay, let's see the process. I went, took the exam to become a certified group fitness instructor. And I actually started teaching at the recreational center at my college, which was University of North Carolina at Greensboro. I taught at the rec for about 4 years. And it was so much fun. I taught a variety of classes, yoga, kickboxing, hip hop, Zumba, and the hip hop, which was called Moving Girl, was the name of the class. It was a hit. I mean, people would line up like it was the bar, the club type of thing, waiting for the class to start. I would come in and 20 people would be outside waiting um, for the last class to end and for mine to begin. So it was just a party. It was a good workout party, and I loved it. And then I went on to when I moved to Los Angeles, I had my company just be a concierge service for corporations. So I would come into corporate settings, the employee staff or whoever they want to invite would host these workout parties, and I would just curate experience of fun, especially in places where the morale was low. So I was there to bring morale high and there to create a healthy experience where you got to sweat and have fun. So that's how I got into it, and I loved it, and I still love it now. Like I might have a party one day for my birthday, just like a group fitness party, you know. So I still love
Awesome. Even I'm into fitness. I'm a fitness enthusiast myself, and I've noticed like people who transition careers often bring hidden strengths with them. And as like we would agree, fitness builds discipline, which in finance, translates to process and precision. So how has that been that blend, working for you?
It's been great. I think at the end of the day, if you're an accountant, CPA, professional, we're dealing with people. And at the end of the day, it comes down to the human experience. So, with me being a group fitness instructor, I was very comfortable with dealing with strangers, encouraging strangers to get out of their shell and get out of their zone because they came there for a reason. And so, I've used this skill of encouraging people to do something different, encouraging people to look at the bright side of a situation in fitness and working hard and still enjoying it, laughing, but working hard and sweating. I've taken that type of encouragement and just transferred it over to business. And I think when it comes to accounting, I don't think people expect that from an accountant. I think that's what sets me apart in my business and in my firm and the people I get to work with because they're not expecting someone to look at something from a different perspective as far as strategy implement the strategy and say, this is what we're doing. And they feel good about it. People want to feel good about their business. They want to feel good about their money. They want to feel good about the decisions they make with their money. And so my job is to not only have the technical side, because I am educated and I am certified to do that. I am a licensed certified public accountant. But at the same time, I want to make whatever I say and whatever news I have to bring palatable and in a place where everyone feels comfortable with the decisions we're about to make. So I think it's been
Yeah.
great to use that skill.
Right. And you have done this for 8 years and still you are, actively involved in the fitness industry and wellness. So what are the things that, it has taught you for your business, for the accounting business?
It's just taught me as far as being, I'll say this much, as being an entrepreneur, I feel like everyone should care about their health. As far as my specific profession, I'm using my mind every day. And it can be draining. I remember when I was in college, when I would study all day, I could eat a whole pizza because my brain was working so hard. Our brain was working so hard. So when it comes to thinking about health and wellness and looking at the whole person, the whole body, it's important that we're not only eating things that are fueling our mind and our body, but we're keeping our energy high because we're all feeding off of each other's energy at the end of the day. And so if we're not keeping in mind that, okay, I do need to work out, I feel better when I work out in the morning. It's a different type of experience. And if I can just do the hard thing in the morning, sweat it out, do the work, breathe heavy, I think the rest of the day can really turn based upon that high energy. So I think it's just really important.
Can't agree more on that, Ariane.
Yeah.
It's a very different feeling, and I think it prepares you better to deal with the situation as
Yes.
compared to some of the others who don't really, work out.
Right. Stress.
And you have, yeah, absolutely, and you have that extra bit of time to think over a lot of things. You consume fresh air. Your water intake increases. So it's just a chain of positive reactions that happen once you start working out. And early morning is the best time.
Absolutely. The mind is clear, hopefully. Your mind
No
is
phone,
clear.
no
Be quiet.
notifications.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. All of that.
right. So talking about your pivot to from fitness to finance, like you mentioned, one of your teachers who was also your mentors, and she was madly in love with numbers, debit and credit, and she is the one somewhere she influenced. But for yourself, like what are the signals or early signs you identified that drew you to the CPA journey?
For the CPA journey, so I'll be fully transparent. When I first finished grad school, I was gonna go right for the CPA. That was the thing culturally. Like all my peers were doing that, all the students were doing that. Let's just go right for the CPA. Let's get it done. But I was very drained, and because I had worked tax season, working a minimum of 55 hours a week while I was in grad school. And if you know anything about grad school, certain schools, you're not allowed to get a score under a B as far as grades go in order for you to pass a class. So I wanted A's. So I was working really hard at a public firm, a public CPA firm during tax season, and I was in grad school. And I honestly just needed a break. And that's when I moved to LA. And I worked at a music and studio production school as a director of finance, and that was fun. And it was cool, but it wasn't the mental challenge that I needed. So one of the quotes that I like is whatever you don't use, you lose. Whatever you don't employ, you forfeit. And so I found myself, I was a director of finance at a school, a music production school, but I mean, it was very easy for me, like so easy to the point I felt like my mind was starting to regress after a year and a half. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go for my CPA and I'm going to do something different because my mind, I actually wanted the challenge. I wanted my mind to stay sharp and I didn't want to be in a job where my mind was starting to become mushy because what I was doing was so easy for me. So
Yeah.
in my attempt to be healthy in my mind and to just, I wanted to just go to the max of my potential. When you know you're not operating to your max, for me, it just didn't work. For me, it just didn't work. So it was that. And then I got the chance to talk to a young lady who had just finished her CPA exam. And she brought a quote to me at that time. She told me that less than 1% of the world's CPAs were Black, African American. And I was blown away by that statistic. And I already knew I had all of the hours to take the exam. I just need to get the additional experience in LA. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do this. And I remember she told me, she said, it's not easy, but it's worth it. It says it's going to be very hard, but it's worth it. And that always stuck with me. And I just felt like I had a responsibility to my ancestors to be all I could be. And I knew I had the education. I knew I had the skill and the discipline. I just had to go ahead and do it and Nike it. Just do it. So that's what I did. And that's what drew me to the CPA journey.
Awesome. Awesome. And you moved to California to pursue CPA and higher studies?
So I moved to California for a change of scenery and adventure because I was burned out from grad school and working. So I went for fun. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Like I went for fun, and after I think about 2 years, I was like, okay, let's get back to the profession, and that's when I went for the exam, and very very hard because I was working full time. You know, I'm managing a team in multiple companies, and my commute to work was like an hour and a half one way. It was only like 15 miles, but the traffic was that bad. So I got up at 4 a.m. every day for a year, got on the freeway. The owner of the company that I worked for, she was so gracious to give me a key to the building because she saw I was working so hard. And I would study for 4 hours in the building, and while nobody was there, so like 5 to 9, 5 a.m. to 9 a.m., and then start the workday at 9 a.m. And then I would work till about 7 p.m. and then get back on the freeway when it was less traffic and go to bed at like 8:30. So I did that for a year, and it was very, very humbling, very humbling. I didn't have a lot of time either, so that was very humbling too.
Yeah. And I think that's what has exactly, shaped you on what kind of a person you are emotionally, mentally, physically. And that's the kind of grinding that keeps you grounded and you value whatever you've done in the past. And that's shaping you for the future.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now let's talk about another area of your interest, which I think not a lot of people know it, but they definitely admire, is your confidence, style, and the breaking the mold kind of attitude that you have, right?
Thank you.
And you have been blending fashion, art with finance. So how does that work for you?
Thank you for that compliment. For me, so I'll give you a little backstory. When I first finished grad school and even undergrad, the Career Center told us how to wear our hair because I was going to be trying to work at a CPA firm. They always tell everyone go for the big four CPA firms, and those firms had requirements. So they wanted me to wear my hair back in a ponytail, a low ponytail specifically. I was supposed to wear a gray or black blazer, gray or black pencil skirt, and no dangly earrings. So just like posts and, very cookie cutter. And I remember doing it and having the interview with some firms and everyone looking the same. And I was just like, I don't like it. I don't like it. And so, most people, they go to a big four firm work super hard, burn out after 2 years, and then, go industry. And I just decided that I didn't want to do it. I just didn't want to do it. I just felt like just in the interview, I was already being stifled by saying, okay, you can't wear certain earrings. You can't wear your hair a certain way. And I understand when it comes to doing client facing work, you want to be professional, you want to be classy, but a lot of those entry level positions are behind the scenes, and you're just ticking and tying and doing things where no one's really seeing you. And so I just felt I was already being stifled. So the wonderful thing about LA is it's very liberal. And so, the firm I worked for, the owner, she wore jeans. The dress code was you could wear jeans. And I was like, what? I can wear jeans? Are you kidding me? And again, this is a long time ago. We've come a long way. This is like over 10 years ago. But that was like, okay, maybe I can still be an accountant and I can still, be myself. But now as, a full-time entrepreneur, I don't have those parameters on myself. I like to be classy. I like to be professional, but at the same time, I want to be me. And I feel I can show up in a certain way, and it can be a breath of fresh air if you're just used to gray and black all day. A little pop of color can make you happy. A good scent can make you happy. So I'm all about a good vibe, even if we're working hard. I want a good vibe. Let's do great things together and feel good about it. So
I just love that, Ariane, your take on the modern CPA. And I think in an industry known for suits and spreadsheets, you're showing that personal style can actually enhance credibility instead of diminishing it.
right.
Right. And I'm sure you're not, your clients are noticing that, and they're responding more positively when they see that this authentic side of you and your firm.
Yes, it creates trust. I think a lot of people, and I'm very surprised because my firm was created organically. People just started finding me because I was a CPA. I wasn't trying to have a firm at the time, but they were like, I just trust you because you're authentically you. You don't try to switch up to appease anyone. And that is what created a reputation for me. And 9 times out of 10, people, if you don't know who I am, like, you don't think I'm an accountant, you don't think I'm a CPA. They're like, you? What? But you're fun. And I'm like, but I'm a person, and CPAs are people, and they have different sides.
Yeah,
I know how to be
absolutely.
serious. It's time to be serious. But at the same time, like, I'm a person, and people think we're boring. They just think we're boring. They think we're not creative. And I will say there are some people where I meet the stereotypical accountant. I'm like, all right, you're that, but we're not all that way. And so we're trying to change the narrative and entice the next generation to be a part, because we have a pipeline issue.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're a strong advocate of, like, you believe soft skills, emotional intelligence, and personal branding are game changer for CPAs. What are your thoughts on that?
So I think with soft skills, that is something that is missing from a stereotypical perspective.
Mhm.
And for me, it's people don't understand that money can be very emotional. And I had someone tell me, money's not emotional. I was like, people are emotional about their money. People don't want to part with their money without making a full analysis. And if someone is nervous and anxious, especially if they're in leadership, if they're nervous and anxious about something, it's my job to put concrete data in front of them to help them make a decision that they feel comfortable with. And if I don't have the soft skills to deal with someone who has anxiety, deal with someone who is mentally in a mind of chaos because they're juggling too many things, or they're creative. A lot of entrepreneurs who do very well in their businesses, they're creatives. You have to deal with creatives. Creatives can be very sensitive people. We're all sensitive creatives. You want to be extra sensitive to their process because that's how they generate revenue. And having emotional intelligence and having soft skills are necessary in order to deal with personalities that can go one way or another, because they're successful at what they do. But when it comes to numbers and money, it can be intimidating, it can be emotional, and it can be something that people want to run from, that they need to deal with it. And that's my job, to stand in the gap.
Yeah. And do you think the the CPAs or the accountant these days, they're just too much focused on the grind and not enough on communication and presence?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And I will say it's not the accountant's fault. People were groomed that way, especially if you came from, whether you came from big four CPA firms or small or regional. Like, the older generation groomed people to be that way, to be very cut and dry. And now that we're moving into a different age of entrepreneurs, I mean, you have people with public companies and they're only like 26 years old, 27 years old. That's a different generation. And you can't tell them that they just have to be a robot. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. And so we have to break the mold and get with the times of what's happening. So that's my take on that.
Yeah, that's such a good point. And the grind alone, I think, doesn't build trust. Clients normally, they rarely remember how fast you filed the return, but they always remember how you made them feel during the process.
Absolutely.
Right. Now, talking about your role, Ariane, as a consultant and strategist, like what businesses actually need from CPAs today? What are they looking for? What are the expectations?
Yeah. I think people are looking for simple, tangible guidance to complex situations. And when you think about complex financial reporting, pitching, or even tax compliance or tax strategy, some of that can be very complex. It can be complex sometimes for CPAs because every time we have different administration, every year something's changing in the tax law. And our job is to not only understand it, but implement it and communicate it to our clients in a way that they can understand. And so
Right.
the space between the law requirements and all the reporting and the understanding of stakeholders and shareholders and people, investors, that gap in between is what CPAs need to focus on. Making information easy to digest. That means we as professionals must know it backwards and forwards, because I have to be able to tell it to you a couple ways if you don't get it the first time. So my understanding has to be deep and genuine. So one, we're doing the homework, putting the strategies in place, and giving guidance that is tangible and palatable and easy to consume. When you talk to someone with their head, you're making me feel small, and that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to make you feel empowered so you can make good decisions.
This sounds like you are as much as a business therapist as a financial strategist.
Yes, and strategy has some therapy involved, because my phone will ring and it'll be like, this is what's going on, and da 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 da. And I have to think about, okay, the other parties involved, what I know about those other parties, and see if we can come to a common ground to make a solid business decision. So I think in strategy, it is a form of therapy. People trust me with their information. They trust me with very sensitive things, and they might not even tell their therapist about it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm the only one they're talking to about it. So I think there is a bit of therapy in there that happens with the strategy, because I have to calm down my client and then say, let's look at the data. I want to be emotionally intelligent, but I don't make decisions based off of feelings. I make them based off of facts. And so when I'm dealing with someone who's in their feelings, I'm like, let's take a step back. Let's look at the data. Let's look at the facts, and let's make good decisions.
Yeah, that's just so insightful, and it's so pleasing to hear all these insights coming from you.
Thank
And
you.
I'm getting healed in a way. It's a therapy for me as well. We're talking about fitness, we're talking about accounting, we're talking about the accuracy, we're talking about soft skills. I mean, this is amazing.
Great. Thank you.
Let's talk about another very important aspect of your life, which we have talked in the past, which has acted as a pillar of your perseverance, which is motherhood mindset and your motivation. Like, how motherhood has influenced your leadership style and decision making.
Yeah. Motherhood has changed me a lot. It has enhanced any type of seed of goodness in me. I feel as though motherhood has poured a lot of rain and soil on it, and I've emerged a different type of person. So prior to becoming a mother, I I can definitely say I put my focus into my work, like all day, every day. A little bit of a workaholic, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna be honest. We're just gonna say it. Um, and becoming a mother, one, I had to slow all the way down once my son was born.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm very open about this. I breastfed my child for a while, which was draining on my body. And I still had to show up. So I had to, it's motherhood is much harder than being an entrepreneur, in my opinion. So it taught me what's important in life. You know, I am a CPA, I'm not a doctor. So some things can wait. Motherhood taught me how to have firm boundaries. And when you have firm boundaries, you can be more present. And when you're more present, you can show up differently. So I think prior to becoming a mother, my mind was in a whole bunch of different spaces, like at any moment. And becoming a mother, I was just like, when I'm with my child, I'm with my child, I'm present. But when I'm working, I'm working. He's taking care of at daycare. My phone is on, but when I'm working, I'm working. And having those firm boundaries in place, having caring for someone who can't care for themselves, the amount of servitude that I've gained is just made me a better leader, because I don't have any problem getting scrappy into the details of my clients' books. My job is to lead you in the right direction, but I do that through serving you and making sure that your needs are being met, and not just doing what I think is best, but what I think is best for you. So it's taught me empathy at another level. I think my discernment within has increased. I can discern what's going on before someone opens their mouth, just because based off their body language. That's just heightened for me, becoming a mother. And I think that's a gift that I didn't think came with the package. So it has really changed me, and it doesn't, it causes a peace within me where nothing to me is a big deal. Like nothing is like insane where I'm going to stress out because I've given birth. So to me, I'm like, all of this is not anything to stress over. It can be a big deal for my client, and I'll respect that, but I'm not going to stress over anything because I've literally gone through the process of giving birth and caring for a child, and that's a way bigger deal than all of this. So puts things.
Absolutely. So, how do you maintain that balance between being a business owner, a mother, and a motivator? Because I've seen many leaders chase, balance as a static goal, but the ones who actually do it, people like you, they know it's very dynamic. It's free flowing. You don't have to stick to any set pattern to achieve the balance. So, what are your thoughts? How do you balance?
I'm very very strict with my time and my attention. And so I have a lot of different settings on my phone, different types of D&D. I have work mode, personal mode, mommy mode, which means certain apps can't get through. I have office hours Monday through Friday, and unless it's an emergency, I'm not checking my email. If I'm at home with my child, I'm at home with my child. And when I have my working hours, my child is not with me, and I'm full on with my client. So I think with me, it's having the firm boundaries in place. And even in the morning, like I'll try to work out, I'll try to get up at 5, 6 a.m. to work out before my child gets up. And that's because I need my time to think, like we talked about earlier, having that clear space. And that's something I had to learn because in the beginning of motherhood, my child's 2 years old right now, but in the beginning of motherhood, I was like, wake up, baby. And that was not healthy, but it's only for a season. But yeah, just really having very clear visions of what my time is. So my morning time, if my child is in the bed asleep, no one can get to me. Nothing's that important. It's 5, 6 a.m. in the morning. Unless we're releasing some funds for venture capital and overseas or something like that, which I would know about, you can't get to me.
Right.
You can't get. So just having those firm boundaries in place and understanding like when I'm here, I'm here. And when I'm not, I'm not.
Awesome. A lot to learn from you from that standpoint as well. Now, let's talk about your journey as a speaker, coach, and a mentor to other starting businesses. Like, how does that work? How do you, get to interact with the emerging entrepreneurs, and what are your uh, guidance or mentorship that you offer to them?
Yeah, so I'll definitely say I've been blessed to just be approached by different opportunities. So for instance, in like a month or so, I'll be teaching a free financial literacy workshop for a specific demographic. And that was an opportunity where they knew I was a CPA. They liked my personality and they asked me would I be a part and present. And I'm excited about that because I'll also be doing something in Spanish as well. So I minored in Spanish in college. So just bringing that back and teaching in Spanish is going to be exciting. And for me, mentorship is key. But I think at the same time, there's just a lot of free resources for people to just be a part of. So I've just been blessed where people just ask me to do certain things for the community. And if I can do it, I'll do it. And it's been really beneficial because when you empower people, they just they remember you. They remember. I mean, I went somewhere a couple months ago and someone said, "Hey, are you Ari? Didn't you used to teach Move and Groove at UNCG?" And that was like, I mean, we're talking 16, 17 years ago. And I said, "Yeah, I'm her." She's like, "I used to go to your class." But so it's just, I made her feel some type of way that she recognized me. I don't know who that young lady was to this day. But if you go out and you meet people and they like you and they find out you're actually a professional in something, they'll ask you to be a part. So that's just how it's very organic. My business has been organic. It was a demand on me rather than me pushing for something.
Yeah, that's like a ripple effect. Your success inspiring someone else's leap,
Right.
right?
Right.
And how you supported members of your network and launching their own ventures. Like we talked about back in the days, you were into fitness business, and then you also helped your fellow community members and your people in your network to start their own fitness businesses. Like
Yeah.
how did what how you handled that and how you inspired them?
So at the time, I was just doing my own thing with my fitness company, and I had a couple friends and colleagues who were in between that stage where they were done with high school, but weren't fulfilled in their studies with college, and they just said, I used to have videos and stuff back in the day, promo videos of my classes, and they were like, "I want to do what you're doing. it just looks fun. And I work out. So like, how do I do this? And, I would just tell them my story. I was like, this is the organization that certifies group fitness instructors. So go through that first and go to your local gym and, try out. And that's basically it. And so it kind of started that for a couple friends of mine. They went all the way, got their personal training license. And they would call me about curating experiences to get the word out. So doing like community workouts, which made them have a name for themselves. It was creating a brand. So I used to do that too. I used to go to different cities where people invited me and just have a workout party. And as long as the sound system was great and the space was clean, we had a party. So it was that type of people just saw me doing stuff because I used to post a lot on social media back in the day.
Mhm.
Back day. And it was just like, hey, you have fun and I want to have fun. And some of my friends, they took it all away. Now they have multiple locations of gyms where they teach group fitness and personal training, and they're doing it full time. And they were just able to create a name for themselves by having these workout parties and people knowing them as a good time. They made them feel good. Again, back to what we were saying. People care about how you make them feel. They might not remember what you say, remember how you make them felt. So that's what it's about. Goodbye.
Yeah. And that's the way you are consulting people, or the way you help your friends to start their own business. I think that's a rare quality. And many consultants we see these days, and also in the past, that they will tell you what needs to be done, but they won't spill the beans on how this needs to be done or how this needs to be achieved. That's a tight-lipped, secret that nobody talks about. But in your case, you're completely okay with sharing all the insights and experiences, and you've genuinely helped people build their businesses. So that's something very, very rare that we come across these days.
Thank you.
Right. Moving on to our next segment, Ariane, let's talk about your growth, recognition, and the bigger mission. In the introduction, I mentioned about you got selected as for the AICPA Leadership Academy. What it meant to you?
Yeah, so the AICPA Leadership Academy was some years ago now, so it wasn't too recent. But um, it meant a lot to me because to be a part of the academy, you had to have a certain amount of letters of recommendation. My letters of recommendation came from very professional, older people who were CPAs, people who were CEOs of multi-million-dollar companies. And it was just very, very pleasing and very uplifting to get those type of recommendations. While inside the academy, I had to do a full 360 peer feedback thing where I had like 20 people give their experience of me and things I could work on and things that were great about me. And so to have so many people participate in the development of me and them being happy to do it was really encouraging. And so the academy, the AICPA Leadership Academy, is really great for tapping into those soft skills because we're already CPAs in the academy.
Yeah.
So there's a certain level of expertise, education, and discipline that's across the board with all the people in the room. But the things that are not talked about, the things that are not taught in college, the things that are not talked about on the internet all the time is that soft skills, the emotional challenges, the inward reflection that's needed to be a good leader. That's what it's about, being a good leader and going from not just being a good professional or an accountant, but serving others and leading others to be their best selves. And that's what it's really about. And so that was a great experience to get some insight on that. And I'm very grateful for all the people that I got to meet during that process.
Right. So you mean inward awareness, emotional intelligence,
Mhm.
technical leadership, and future readiness. These are the things that you don't you don't get exposed to while you're studying in college or
Right.
pursuing a certain degree, right? And such opportunities expose you. And obviously, there are people who are at a higher level working in that space. So they demand and they challenge you at a high level, which obviously, prepares you for challenging roles and challenging situations. So that completely elevates one's perspective about the business and how they perceive things as a leader.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Let's also talk about diversity in accounting. Ariane, earlier you mentioned that there are very few people from your community representing or working as a full-time accountant or certified public accountant, and also running their own full-time firms. So
Yeah.
how diversity has uh, shaped your career as a leader and a human being?
So I'll be very transparent. In my career, I was 9 times out of 10 the only minority in the room, and it could be 20 people in the room.
Okay.
That's just being very real. That's being very transparent. Okay. So with that being said, again, one of the things that pushed me to go from just being an accountant to being a certified public accountant was recognizing that I did not see myself. I did not see myself in leadership, and I wanted to be the change I wanted to see. So for that, um, when I show up in the room, there's a certain level of confidence and belief that I must have to stay in the room, to speak in the room, and to have an impact in the room. Because I don't have the support of seeing myself in the room.
Yeah.
And that's just being real. It can be a touchy topic, but that's just being real. And so for me, I always wanted to I'm going to be professional, but I'm also going to always be me. And so that is the ingredient that cannot be duplicated. And so with that, I'm going to show up full force. And back to what we were talking about before with boundaries, it's the work I'm doing in the morning. It's the work I'm doing on my mind and on my body that allows me to show up unapologetically me. Because, of course, opinions in the room are like, who are you? Because you're not looking like us.
Yeah.
So, that's been my life. And again, being authentic and being true to who you are will take you a long way, because I have gone in spaces where they're like, who are you? To, I can't wait to see you next time. And thank you so much for, what do you think, Ari? I've been in a room full of people and they're like, Ari, what do you think? And I'm like, me? Okay. This is what I think. So, but again, they can feel if you're a real deal or not, for sure. So be that.
And that's quite a journey, like from not being recognized to being the most sought after, accounting leader in the room. It's very easy to say, but a lot of perseverance, resilience, and hard work goes between those two pillars, and it's a long journey. And I think you have tremendously justified that. And your personality, or you being an accountant, or your leadership personifies all of that. And it's really inspiring, not just for me as I'm listening this firsthand from you directly, but also the people who are going to listen to our podcast.
Thank you so much.
And Ariane, now taking our discussion to something that is slowly and gradually becoming a boiling discussion among the CPA community in the US, and that is the growing shortage of CPAs. What's your take on that, and how you think we can fix it?
Yeah. So this is something we talk about inside the AICPA a lot. So sometimes I get opportunities to volunteer, sometimes in a local high school or on a webinar where we're talking about our pipeline issue. Again, accounting is not an attractive profession. I mean, I remember someone said to me, they asked me what my profession was. This was in LA. They said, I said, I'm an accountant. And they're like, ew, I could never be that. I'm way too creative. And I'm like, I'm creative. You know, I'm like, so that kind of shows you the general reputation that accountants have. It's like, ew, you're boring. Uh, and I'm like, actually, I'm a lot of fun. And so when we think about the younger generation, I don't know, Gen Z now, a millennial, Gen Z, they're in a different age of they're tech babies. So
Yeah.
when we think about social media, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, all the things, Facebook, all the things, we're talking about people who have been raised in curated experiences, curated pictures, curated videos. The videos might not have been real, but the lights are enhanced, the colors are enhanced, the music is then. And when you have a generation that's constantly being fed those images, accounting is not on the forefront. Influencer is on the forefront. Anything where they can be outside, anything not sitting at a desk is what's appealing. And so it's been difficult to replenish the pipeline as the older generation are transitioning out of life in the profession. It's been difficult to fill in the gap of professionals because it's just not attractive. So what the AICPA is doing, we've been thinking about different things. I'm not a representative, but the discussions that I've been blessed to be a part of. One, they're changing the requirement. So before you had to have a certain number of hours. I think it's 150 credit hours. Now it's down to 120. And instead of having 1 year experience, you'll have 2 years of experience to make up for the fact that you didn't do an extra 30 hours of school and education. So that's been one way that they've been trying to just change the requirements through entry, because I think even the CPA exam had like a 40% passing rate. And you got to remember, the people who actually sit for the exam have at least 150 credit hours of relevant education for accounting. So they're qualified, but the exam is that hard, that challenging, it has a low passing rate. So the AICPA is trying to change the way we look at the entrance process and the entrance procedures to actually become a CPA. So that's one thing. And then I think we just got to change the game with how we make accounting look. And it can be fun. Yes, I do sit down. Yes, I do have multiple screens. Yes, I do have a loud keyboard that I love to hear. But at the same time, there is a freedom that I have in making sound decisions with what's going on in the world from a tax perspective. And there's freedom that I have with meeting a lot of different people, because I'm dealing with entrepreneurs. And so it can be a different type of life, but we've got to show it, and we've got to show it different. We just have to.
Absolutely. And Ariane, do you think the impact of AI and the way it is going mainstream, I wouldn't say it is going mainstream, but the kind of, buzz or the environment that has been created of AI replacing accountants or AI automating a lot of labor work in the back end is one of the reasons why, a lot of people think, or the Gen Zs feel, that being a CPA won't be that rewarding because it is going to be taken over by AI.
Yeah. So AI will be able to do routine things. But when we think about, okay, so CPAs can do independent audits. That is something that's coveted only for CPAs. No other profession can do that, independent audits. Of course, we can have AI help with some of the sampling to make the process smoother. But at the end of the day, you need an independent auditor's opinion.
Right.
You need their faster. You need their decision making. There's nothing that's going to change that. Of course, you can have AI help support that decision, but at the end of the day, it's what that independent auditor has come to. That's one.
Yeah.
That's not. I don't see that changing anytime soon. Two, again, AI is good for foundational things, but if something's wrong or we're dealing with complex, I mean, I have a large background in tech industry specifically, and there are a lot of different variables involved where if something's wrong, if AI took it, everything would be wrong because they're just going to change. AI is just going to change and create results based off the change. But if the change is wrong, now our reporting is because we decided to not do fine. So I think there is still a lot of room for one, of course, to tax strategy, and also again, which is resulting in high level and making physical complex simple, palatable, and enrolling in that data. But at the end of the day, I want to put people want for
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much for your insights, Ariana, there. Now let's make our discussion a little bit quick, fun, and insightful. Let's jump onto a last segment of this podcast, that is the rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Yes.
Right. Here we go. One book that changed your thinking forever.
The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle.
Awesome. What's your go-to outfit for a power meeting?
Anything classy and clean.
That's a brand statement, like without saying a word. One myth about CPAs you want to bust right now.
The CPAs are boring and don't have personalities. We are people and we are fun and creative as well.
So I think we need this line on LinkedIn banners everywhere.
Yes.
What's your superpower as a leader?
My ability to stay level-headed in high-stakes situations, for sure.
Right. Favorite workout or fitness ritual you follow?
I love a good treadmill run to start it off and a good squat rack workout.
Awesome. One kind moment that made it all worth it?
A client moment that made it all worth it. One of the companies when I was working in LA, one of the companies I was responsible for, they were a startup tech company, and the owner and founder was actually funding the business out of his pocket, and they were actually going to shut it down. And they had charging. They created an app for charging stations, and were creating charging stations for electric car users. Now this was 10 plus years ago, so they were doing great things, and they were going to close down the company because the cash flow wasn't coming in, but they had good contracts. I actually went in, looked at the contracts, and saw that there was different requirements for invoicing, and nobody was doing the work of just going the deep dive into the contracts. So I redid all the invoices coming into the business working for them. And, I think they had got their first check for $250,000. And it encouraged the owner to keep going. And now they're public and valued over $1 billion.
Wow. Awesome. That's the kind of stuff you remember on the tough days.
Yeah, for sure. And then, I got a good friend in high places.
Awesome. If not a CPA, what career would you have chosen? Don't tell me all the different things you do. Anything else?
Yeah, I think about this because I actually went to a show last night. And I'll probably do this when I get towards retirement age. I'll probably be on Broadway, theater, singing and dancing. You just be free butterfly, something like that.
Right. Awesome. One quote you live by?
Nothing beats a failure but a try.
Mm, right. I remember one of the quotes that my high school principal used to tell us, and it was like, not failure, but low aim is a crime.
Mm.
And I just love that. And,
Yeah.
it's so powerful. It's so moving. It really inspires me all the time whenever I think of those days and that quote.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the most fun part of being a mom.
Seeing my kid grow, like he's so smart. I mean, it'll be like one day has passed and he knows so many more words and he has such a big personality. And I know he's feeding off of that because that's my child, but it's just amazing to see him know when to say certain things, certain contexts, and
Mhm.
um, just amazing to see him grow and be different every day. He's different every day. It's beautiful.
So he's what, Gen Alpha, right?
Yeah, that's what I don't even know. That's what it is. Yeah.
Probably in few days' time, he will tell you that what generation he belongs to.
Right, right. He's so smart. I'm blown away.
One piece of advice you would give your younger self.
One piece of advice that I would give my younger self would be to learn boundaries fast, learn how to implement them, and pour into yourself every day and love yourself at a high level so you can stand firm on what you believe in.
We could use all of these as a reminder every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So, Ariane, I loved every minute of this conversation. You've shared
Oh,
not just your professional journey, but the heart behind it, the lessons from motherhood, the courage to pivot, and the passion for lifting others as you climb. It's rare to meet someone who blends, technical mastery with such genuine humanity, and you do it effortlessly. So,
thank you.
thank you for letting us into your story, for inspiring so many with your example, and providing that in life and business. Authenticity is always the winning strategy.
Yes. Thank you so much, BK, for having me. And I hope this podcast helps someone.